welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders, in green our Category 2, in blue Category 3 and Category 4 in red.
Category 1 riders come out of the start pen and onto the course proper. We can see it's a strong start from the front of this race field, just stretching it out a bit.
They're nicely working together here, but as they go over the bridge, you can just see that little split occurring, and that is just because the riders are squeezing on the pedals on the front. The riders at the back, maybe not quite as quick to respond up to the very front of the race. Musa Al-Mansouri is on the move. She has put the power down. 3.9 watts per kilo. She's opened a gap of 15 seconds. They're running down the freight train lines, but behind that train is coming faster than they can run. It is a big old train coming. Here it comes. This is where you will see these riders swallow up the leaders in Category 4. We're coming up to the top here. We've only got 200 meters of climbing left, and look at this. This group could go over the top clear by about 7 seconds. It's coming back down again. This is the run for the line. Here comes the banner. Hohweiler kicks over the top. Hohweiler is pushing. Will it be Tanya Hohweiler? It's going to be Hohweiler. She's got the gap. Over the line she goes, your winner. Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's our monthly final. Oh boy, I've been waiting for this all month. It has been a storming month on the qualifiers. We've seen some incredible racing and riding, but we're going to see some really exciting action today with the team dynamics mixed in. My name is Matt Payne. I'm going to be bringing you all of the race action. I'm here in the studio with Emma Martin. For us, it's good morning. Morning, Emma.
It is good morning here in the Full Speed Event studio, but it's not good morning all around the world. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are, because I do know we have some of our racers joining us in the darkest depths or the earliest part of 3 a.m. So if that is one of you, hello and welcome. We are at the Sunday Race Club finals.
We are indeed, and we may be here, but we are going to be joined by somebody in the men's show. We're going to be joined by Kevin Poulton, so make sure you have a watch of that. We're going to be talking to him a little bit later on. But let's concentrate on our women's race. We are in Arabia. We're on the Jebel Hafit course, a course that you know well, Emma.
Oh, and it's a cracker today. So 35 kilometres of racing for the women, 905 metres of climbing. And you can see the profile there in front of you. So along the way, 5 300-metre sprint segments, but today 2 climbs, 1 Category 4 climb coming at 9.5 kilometres into the race. But take a look at the end. It's a Category 1 climb where we're going to find the checkered flag at the top, 9.1 kilometres, 7% average gradient, but you can tell by that map in front of you there are steeper sections on that climb. In fact, they will kick to 13%. So we have some fast and furious racing to look forward to.
We do indeed. And we've got to say, the aquarium climb on the way through can be really instrumental in making that selection, along with the other sections on the course that are not the actual final climb. Now, 4 race categories on MyWhoosh. We have 4 categories, each category with its own prize fund. We'll be bringing you details of that a little bit later on. All are dynamic race categories, so they basically select the riders to give competitive racing for everybody. We're going to start with our Category 4 riders, and we've got some fantastic riders in here and some fantastic teams. The Al Wathbak girls, the team from Phoenix, the Superbass team, and the Watt women's team. Of these, hot favourite, surely the Watt women.
Well, it is really interesting. The Watt women were dominant last month with a 33-minute win in the team classification. But the riders in first and second, Hohweiler and Lytton, who were part and parcel of last month's Watt Women team, have progressed to Category 3. But Smithson, Garcia, Vink and Idzik, I think, have got to be the team to beat. But Phoenix looks strong. Don't discount Super. In fact, don't discount any of the other 3 teams. They all have riders who have placed in the top 5 this month.
And they're all going to need to finish because we need 3 riders in each team to qualify that team. And of course, we've got 5 team prizes up for grabs. Also joining them, we have one individual rider, that is Salama Al Kabi, who is riding as an individual. So watch out for Salama on the course today. So here we go. The countdown is on. The clock is ticking. We are on the rundown. This is your finals for August, and we are go. Here we are out from the pens here. Fantastic course that takes us out and away, and you can just see the riders taking that left-hand turn out from the pens. They're going to go over the boardwalk, in and through the lush vegetation, and heading into the city. So Category 4 underway. This is the start of the waves. So the first wave is Category 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. 5 minutes separated each category. Now, for those people who are maybe new, let's do a very quick rundown of your screens. Let's start with the top central section, really key section here, Emma. Take us through the top central section.
Yeah, so the top central section that you are watching today and taking a look at as our riders cross the boardwalk is indeed the individual data for the rider we are in with. So we're in with Jacqueline Kirchner at the moment, currently doing 142 watts. Now that is green because she's in that pack. She's taking the draft. When it turns white, as it just has now, indicates she's no longer in that draft. 1 minute and 6 seconds on the clock, the moving time. Her heart rate, currently 124 beats, so a nice steady start at the moment for Kirchner, and you can see that because the pace is moving at around 2.5 watts per kilo, and you can tell at the moment that's quite a slow cadence. Her revs per minute, currently 57. Now, at the top of that is the distance travelled. So far, this pack, well, they've moved 0.8 of a kilometre.
Of the 35k course in total. So that's the top of central section as these riders head out and through. And the left-hand bottom side of the left-hand corner, you can see that we have our satellite navigation view. You can see all the tower blocks, the amazing buildings here downtown as we've gone around the roundabout, taking this curving left-hand bend. You can see it there that we've covered 1k. We're traveling at 28 kilometers an hour, and we've currently ascended basically 0 meters because we're just running through the flat of the city at the moment. That's the bottom left-hand side. Right-hand side at the top, you can see that we have our gradient in percentage. Now, this is -0, so basically it's dead flat at the moment. You can see that the rider's position is indicated by that yellow line as it moves along, and you can see as the terrain moves from right to left, we're about to hit a slight depression and then raise. When that happens, then you can see that will change. Just raising up slightly on the way in, 0.1, 0.2% as it goes through, and these are real feel. Below then we have the zone that the riders are pushing on into, and this gives you a clear indication of how hard these riders are working. And of course then, just below, Emma, really important from a racing perspective, the actual positional board on the right hand side.
Yeah, it is indeed, because that gives you, as a racer, your indication of where you're currently sat in the pack and who's around you and what they are doing. So our riders can see exactly what we can see in front of us. So taking a look at the moment, we are watching in with Ella Vink, and you can see on that right hand side, Ella Vink is the rider who is in the light blue, indicating that that's the rider we are currently watching. That's the rider whose view we are currently getting. Now, one of the things that's really interesting is she's obviously rotating position within that bunch, and you can see she's just moved from 10th to 5th to 7th. But you'll also notice she can't see the entire pack on that screen. That is really important.
And of course, all the data for each of those riders shown, the time splits on there, and the categories of the riders that are in there, really key. Now, this is Category 4. They are just making the way in towards the start of the first of those sprint segments. But you can see left-hand side of your screen, riders are lined up in Category 3 for the August finals. So we're going to dive in with our Category 3 riders. Again, really packed. No individual riders this time. Everybody in a team.
Yeah, they are indeed. They are indeed, and you can see those teams on the screen. So 2K, 2C, Grind My Gears, Pace, Team Golden Light, and Wheels on Fire. Now, Matt, for me, this has got to be one of the closest team competitions we've got in this women's race, because there is at least one rider in every team who has finished in the top 5 at this month.
And that makes it so competitive, doesn't it?
And it's the third counter that's going to be key.
I think that's going to be critical. Where that third counter is, they are the rider whose time could well decide where those prizes are going to go.
So as the clock ticks down, our category 3 riders are ready to go, and away go category 3 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. This is the August final. We're in with Isabella Giraldo. No, Giraldo coming up from category 4 this month. It's great to see the progression for this rider, moving up and moving through and starting strongly with this pack. So away go category 3. They are out of the start pens and on to the boardwalk.
So onto the boardwalk, heading out into town. The riders setting off and away. This is a really key moment, seeing how close they can be on the way through. Let's see who is going to be able to hold on. Looks like everybody in at the moment, and because this is a final, the groups are fractionally smaller, aren't they? The field is not quite as big, because you do have to get those 2 qualifying rides in to qualify.
You do have to qualify, and not everybody qualifies for the final, because as you're right, Matt, you do have to have those 2 qualification races and verified results to qualify. And also, the number of qualification rounds differs each month depending upon the number of Sundays in a month. So August, we've had 3 qualification rounds, but in July we had 4. So more options and opportunities to qualify some months than others. Today, category 3 is looking really strong. 17 riders on the start sheets, 5 teams, and pretty much anybody who has raced and raced hard this month is here, because, well, this is going to be a seriously competitive race. Now, Novlin Kokkonen, who we are in with at the moment, it's been fantastic to see Kokkonen come back to racing and come back to MyWhoosh from whatever else has been on her racing program. She took a break from the esports platform. She's now come back to the Sunday Race Club, and she's really started to light up the racing this month in this category 3. She's had 1 first, 1 third, and 1 fifth this month. So I think she is absolutely on form, and she's one to watch today for the podium.
And we've got to add into the mix, though, with all these riders in all these teams, the fact that we have a massive climb at the end of this.
Yeah, we do.
There's no other word for it. I mean, it's 9.5k long, 10k, just over 6 miles in Imperial. You've got a big old climb on there. I mean, we're talking a massive level of ascent on the climb, 690 meters. It's going to change potentially the mix of riders up there at the front.
Oh, and the courses are fabulous, because last month, July's final for the women was in Wollongong City, a very, very different course to that which we are racing on today. So it's great to see that there is something for everybody, and it is not predictive as to who is going to win this race today.
And I think one of the key things about being on the platform, being on MyWhoosh, we do have such a wide variety. We've got the new worlds that have just been launched in Belgium, some amazing
I can't wait
worlds.
till Belgium comes to the Sunday Race Club.
I can't wait till it comes to the Sunday Race Club. That is going to be really, really important, that when we get on there, the riders have ridden it. So make sure, guys, you get out there and ride the routes, get to learn those climbs. And as a racer, that's something that's really key, isn't it? Now, the riders are fast approaching this sprint, and they've got here quicker, haven't they? Because we were approaching nearly the 4 minutes go time, but look at this. They're going to hit this at about 3:38, 3:40. So I think they're moving just that little bit quicker, category 3, which is what we would expect. Category 3 just that little bit faster than category 4. When we move up to category 2, who are our next riders, they're going to be even quicker. Still category 1 is still waiting in the pen. So category 2. Now, this for me is going to be really, really interesting. We've got 4 teams: Beast Mode, Rising Stars, Team Blue, and Team Europe in here. And I wouldn't know who to pick out of these. I guess potentially Team Europe with Walkenhurst and Hermansen, but you look at Bulgaria, Montoya, or Miller, or Tan. So many quality riders in here.
Well, I agree. And the riders who were at the top of this category in July are now in category 1. They have progressed. So this has opened up this category 2 field completely. So Embring, Walkenhurst, Hermansen have all finished in the top 5 this month. So Team Europe for me has got to be right up there. But Daniel, Miller, Ospina and Tan from Beast Mode, Rising Stars and Team Blue all, I think, stand an opportunity today.
Well, let's see who's going to take it out. This is category 2, about to get underway on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Here we are. We are going to be going, and away we are from the start. This is it. This is the moment when you've got to make it count. Category 2, firing off in those green jerseys. We're in with Lisa Hermansen from Team Europe, who's very quickly up to pace here. 40 kilometers an hour going out from the start. The riders settling down, not wanting to go too far into the red too soon. They're going to need as much speed and power as they can for later in the race route. But this is really key. It looks like one rider just fighting to get back on to the wheels behind here, just being left behind out of the pen. You can just see is a bit of distance out in the group. Let's see who is going to make contact. Still got one rider distance out the back here, quite a long way around that bend, so we're not going to be able to see them on our screens. So we'll see whether they can make it a big effort. It's going to take a big effort to get across, because this pack is moving quickly and it has that advantage of draft, and we've talked about draft briefly. Tell us a bit more depth about why draft's important.
Well, the draft is important because it gives you an easier ride. It is that simple. So if you are behind a rider, you are taking a break from the wind or taking a break from you are in the draft of the rider in front. That is when your numbers go into green, which gives you an easier ride. Now, regularly we talk about the fact that it's not the rider with the highest watts per kilo across the race who normally wins, because actually it's the smartest rider who has the easier effort during the race, allowing them to put the energy down and save that energy for when it's needed to win.
And the draft is taking effect. You see the bunch in the center of the sat-nav view moving through the other side of the roundabout, and the distance to the rider behind is increasing. There is an increased gap, and that is going to be about working to get in and across. We'll have to see who is able to get back in touch from behind. Now, really interesting. I think this mix of riders. We've got some younger riders. We've got some older riders. Who would be your the riders to watch here? Just pick us a few names out and tell us why.
Well, the riders to watch in this category 2 race. Well, now, just to put this into context, 11 different riders this month in category 2 have finished in the top 5. So I think Miller, Montoya, Bulgarin, Embring, Walkenhurst, Hermansen, but Jenny Daniel is strong. Montoya, well, it's hard to pick actually, because this category 2 race field, we've seen category 3 riders come up this month, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they play out. We've also seen the top end of category 2 progress to category 1, which opens the field of racing, and that's why we've seen so many different riders, 11 as I mentioned, finish in the top 5, because all of a sudden when the 1 and 2 from last month go up, the expectation of who you think is going to win goes away, and hence the motivation to race changes.
And that motivation is absolutely key for our riders, and they're all going to be motivated to get their hands on not only on the individual prize pot, but of course it is final, so we have the team competition as well. Really interesting how that changes the dynamics, and we'll be diving into that very shortly. Very similar time as we hit this banner between category 3 and 2. So for category 2, a relatively steady at start. As you can see, 3 categories underway: category 4, 3 and 2 are separated out on course. Just over 7k for category 4 covered, 4.8 for category 3. Category 2 are at 2.2k. Category 1, well, they have yet to go. They are our next group, and they are amazing riders. It's going to be fantastic to see how the team from the best name in the business, Fizzy Pops, the Gladiator Women, the Mountain Girls, Spartan Obstacles, and the Team Panthers do. Spartan Obstacles have been the team.
Well, they have been very dominant. They won in July, but only by 5 seconds, Matt. And the third place team was only 27 seconds back. So when you bear in mind it's the top 3 riders' accumulated time that gives you the team competition, category 1 is close.
Very close indeed. Let's see who's going to take it out. Our final category in the women's finals are about to take to the start line and about to set off.
So as the clock ticks down, the legs are warmed up and they are ready to go. Away go category 1 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. This is the August final in 2023, and Jacina Menezes is up and out of the pen with the rest of that category. They are now clear of the start pen and they're going to take this right-hand turn across the boardwalk. So as the riders progress, they are out of the pen. They've had quite a big push at the moment. You can see 1 or 2, not just 1 or 2. I think that's 4 or 5, actually. Riders just caught out there a little bit in that start. So category 1 up and out, but there's already a stretch on that pack.
This group starting to just form its own main group on the front. That looks to me to be about 12 riders at the moment, maybe 15. Behind there is another set of riders. There's at least 2 or 3, plus all of the rest. You can see them dot to dot almost on the left-hand side of your screen at the bottom, that satellite view showing why it's so important to get out of that start fast. Now, category 1 don't always go out super quick, but you could see behind, we're starting to see the red chevrons coming across behind this group, and that is because they are trying to close down that gap. You can see Maria Gill 3 seconds down here. Looks like Arias, Marisol Arias here, just distanced off the back of this group. Gill is coming onto a wheel, and they need to push and get it now. It is basically do or die at the moment, because if you're not on board this train, it will leave the station. It won't wait, and you've got to be on it. It's not going to ease back. This is category 1 racing. This is high speed. It is not for the faint-hearted. This is when you've got to make that push, and the sprint now to get on is got to be worth it. What's the worst that can happen? You don't make it.
Well, you're not on already, so if you don't make it by putting the effort in, you're in not a worse position than you are now. But if you don't try, you are never going to be in the leading pack, and within that first 1.2 kilometres, well, the race is over, but you've still got to ride hard because it's a team competition, and it is absolutely crucial. It's so much harder to do this on your own than it is to do this in a pack. You've got 35 kilometres of racing. You've got 905 metres of climbing. You do not want a solo ride.
No, it makes such a big difference. There's some big numbers to be saved on the back, isn't there? There are watts and watts.
I tell you something. This pack have slowed. They've slowed quite dramatically. 2 watts per kilo at the moment in this pack. And I think that's because some of these need their teammates.
And they are diving down. It's a slight descent here. You see top right-hand side of your screen, 2.2, 2.3% descent down into a Ferrari World down here in the base of the garage. And on that descent, the watts per kilo came off, didn't they? People didn't just push over and push through that descent. They used that for recovery. But that gap at the moment to Arias, 10 seconds. It is incredible behind these riders. We have our leading group of riders, but behind them, we have got these riders really distanced everywhere. As we come into the sprint, as we come out from the Ferrari World Garage, got up into the Banff to start the first of our sprint segments. Remember, the sprint segments are individual, discrete segments. They're timed. So this is where we're going to see who is pushing hardest through that section. this will give us a snapshot. It is spread out, it is distance, it is all over the place. And when they get to the end of this is going to be really informative. Will we have riders in the leading group leading the leaderboard because the group is moving faster, or will it be the chasers on this segment who are going to get back with a faster time?
Well, the number of times, Matt, we have spoken about the fact that the start is so important. Timing your start is absolutely crucial. You go too early, you burn matches before the go. You go too late, you miss the start. And take a look at that. So coming through on the first segment, the first 300-meter sprint, Quevedo going through in the fastest time, 30.5 seconds. Now, Sanchez going through 1.7 seconds slower, 32. Menezes, Rua, Gallo, Gonzalez. And then we've got some of the Category 2 riders coming through, indicating that the Category 1 pack and the Category 2 pack are moving at a pretty similar pace. So Tan and Arias coming through there.
Yeah, really interesting. That's lean to. Now, Emma, if you could just keep an eye on the riders chasing behind, I'm sure you are, to see where the chasing riders are as they come through and whether they start to set any faster times because they are chasing behind them. We're going to just take a quick look down. That group is a real who's who of riders in here. Barker, Bjarhead, Engstrom, Bardoskaya, Menezes, Garcia, Geraldo. It really is those people who we know are going to be right up in that mix. Quevedo in here, super fast rider with a big kick. But that time of 30 seconds for the 300 meters, the dip and the rise up before really blunting the speed into that segment. So it does mean it is a traditionally slower segment. And you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, those gaps are coming out. They are getting longer and longer. Emma, how are we doing with those riders in Category 1? Have they managed to, are they setting faster times?
No, not at all. So I think this is it. I think within the first, 3.5 kilometers of this race, we have the selection already at the front of Category 1.
So selection 1 made on the sprint out from the start line. But if you're behind, don't worry, guys. This is where you now need to find somebody to ride with and push, because you will come. There will be riders at the front who blow and go backwards because of the nature of this course. Now, Category 2, this is the sort of thing that does that damage, that puts people in trouble. You can just see as we go up over the bridge, Kimberly Miller there was kicking on hard to come through. This leading group of Category 2 riders, again, this is a selection. This is not all of the starters on here. And it has to be said, when the power goes down over the top, that is when people's riders' legs and the riders' legs are going to suffer, because if you're not able to stay with the pace on there, you're going to have to be digging really deep and you may not make it.
Yeah, so 10 riders in this leading Category 2 pack at the moment. Hermansen, Ospina, Miller, Walkenhurst, all in this pack. So the riders that we expect to see in here are in here and have made that selection. Now, they are now 6.5 kilometers into this race, and they are now moving towards the first climb of the day. Now, that first Category 4 climb comes at 9.5 kilometers, and the run into it is rolling, and you can see that on the top right hand corner of your screen. You can see that rolling terrain. Now, this is a place where I think we will start to see pushes on in this race, pushes to break these groups and make them smaller. So this for me is quite an integral part of this course.
So 2/3 of the riders in Category 2 in that leading group, a third not with them. This is Category 3 and this is a much bigger group. They are on the climb, 300 meters into it, in fact, and this climb is long. Emma, run us through the stats for this climb, because the Aquarium climb, it's not a steady state climb. You can see on the profile, if you're looking at the screen watching the show, you can see on top right hand side that course profile, but give us a rundown, Emma, of what that translates to.
Yeah, so this is a Category 4 climb. It's 3.5 kilometers in length with an average gradient of 2.9%, 94 meters of climbing in total. But as you can see, it is not a consistent steady state climb. So currently the riders 1.4% at the moment. It's pretty flat, and that'll be feeling like a good bit of recovery. But you'll soon see the gradient start to tick up. In fact, there it goes. It's starting to tick. We're now at 3.5. We're moving towards 4, and it will indeed continue to progress. So it is not a steady state climb. There are some recovery areas, but as you can see, this category 3 pack are tapping up here pretty well together. And for me, this is about the riders who are feeling good today. Well, they are going to stay in the pack here. This is where those riders need to push on to put a bit of damage in the legs of those who are not going to be able to sustain later on. But that climb at the end, 9.5 kilometers, that is a long climb.
It is. So it makes this first climb looking very interesting indeed. Now we are looking at the riders in category 1. They're on the way in through the second of our splits here. So they are going through the discrete segments, the Dubai Mile Sprint, the second of those. And this group, now the numbers, the watts per kilo, look to be pretty low here. And that means that they're relying on the fact they've got the biggest group to get that pace, to get that speed down. And that is going to be really, really critical indeed. So let's see how these riders go on in terms of time. Emma, run us through the times.
Well, taking a look at that, it is category 2 going through that segment the quickest, because as you said, Matt, category 1, well, they were crawling. So Tan, Arrayas, Pulgarin, Lytton, Montoya, Gentili, Walkenhurst and Ospina, the top 8, all from that category 2, apart from Lytton, who is category 3, and in fact category 3 in 9th place as well. So category 2 and category 3 going through that segment at pretty much a similar pace. I'm still scrolling on my screen at the moment in front of me, because category 4 as well have gone through faster than category 1. So category 1, I can confirm, have gone through the second segment the slowest of all of our race fields.
Wow.
Well, it's a steady start for category 1, because I'll tell you what, the fire is going to be lit on that final climb today, because they have got everything to play for, but it's going to be a nice steady run, I think.
Well,
that's my prediction.
That's your prediction. I'm going to predict they're going to go on the aquarium climb. I think that climb is going to see some damage done. That group won't be as big at the top as it is at the bottom. But let's see what happens. So as our 4 categories make their way through, 2 categories already on the aquarium climb. That's categories 4 and 3 at the bottom of your screens. Category 2 and 1 on the approach. Time to remind you of what's at stake for our riders. 4 categories means 4 prize funds. So the 4 prize funds are indeed an incrementally increasing prize fund. Category 4 is the base level. Now, today is a final. That means you can ignore the right-hand block here, the qualifier races. That was all done and dusted. We are on the monthly final. That means there is the individual classification. Now, if you're going to be in with a chance of the team win, you're probably going to be in the top 5, which means that you're going to be in those AED in the Durham 2,160 for the win. If you're in the leading team, that is 10,800 as you go up in the team, and that is split between the teammates. So category 4, great level of prize money, great to see the reward for our riders. As a reminder, this is why the teams, no matter where they are, whether they're at the front of the race or the back of the race, all these riders need to ride, because they need 3 counting riders. Now, category 3 goes up again. Individually 3,600, team classification 18,000 AED. It is reflective of what the riders are doing, that increase in performance.
Yeah, it is indeed progressive, and it is progressive all the way through as we move to category 2. So the category 2 prize money progresses again, and you can see it there in the individual classification in the monthly final today. The winner of category 2 will take away 6,000 AED, second 4,800, and in the team classification, well, that is 30,000 AED for the first team today.
Okay, category 2's big, but it isn't as big as category 1.
No, indeed.
So category 1, 10,000 for first, 8,000 for second, 6,000 for third, 4,000 for fourth, and 2,000 for 5th. But the big number sitting on the middle of your screen, dead center in that target, 50,000. This is what those teams want. 50,000 AED. It's 10,000 AED for 4th place.
It is.
Now, AED in Durham, we always do a comparison, and we're going to have a South Pacific
an Antipodean
theme indeed, because we always try and translate this into a different currency as well, because we know we've got riders around the world. So I think for the women's race, why don't we go, let's try
New Zealand dollars.
New Zealand dollars, that's
New
a great
Zealand
one.
dollars,
Yeah, go on then.
50,000 AED, 23,064 New Zealand dollars.
Wow, so that's for 50, that's for the team prize.
It is.
What is it for the individual?
Oh, hold on.
There we are, some quick maths being done by
Yeah,
Emma. It's
well,
not quite countdown levels of mathematics,
and some
but there you
quick
go.
tapping in. 10,800 AED
Yep.
is 4,982
So
New
what's
Zealand
10,000?
10,000, hold on.
Because that is
10,000, 4,612.
There you go.
Yes, and don't forget, equal prize money, men and women.
Fantastic to see, as it should be. Fantastic. Right, there you go. That gives you the prize money. It gives you the scale of what our riders are riding for, and it puts the context into why these riders want to bring these groups down. If you can bring the prize fund in to the riders that you've got, if you've got 5 riders, 5 prizes, suddenly that changes the dynamic from having 15 riders and 5 prizes, because it's not a 1 in 3 chance anymore of getting a prize. You've got a much higher chance if you can get those numbers down. Now, these riders are rattling through these sprint segments. This is the downtown sprint, and what is noticeable here, we don't see a yellow jersey till 8th place.
Well, they are all pretty much riding through at the same time, and the reason I was giggling was Quevedo's heart rate was 111.
So, okay.
She could be reading an exciting book.
Okay, that's a very interesting heart rate comparison. I'm not sure what you'd be reading for some of our categories. What was really interesting, though, you look at Elevink here. I mean, Elevink is leading category 4. Elevink is basically doing a vink, riding off the front, and is starting to break this group apart by some distance. 3 riders, Fink, Smithson and Nidzik, clear of Garcia, Al-Mansouri, looks like Apple Garcia also. We've got Madeira, we've got Kirchner behind, but this is really blood apart, and this is the run down in towards that climb.
This is what women making their attack. They are claiming this race now. They have got 16 kilometers into it. They are up and over the first category 4 climb, and this is the drop and the run down here at the moment on the other side, and this is where they're putting in their attack. So Vink, Smithson, Idzik, 1, 2, 3. They are all part and parcel of that What Women's team. Garcia currently in 5th. So Apple Clarice Garcia, rather than Gina De Gracia, is in that team as well. Now, they are 9 seconds back from these leading 3. So we have a 3-woman breakaway here. And then we have 3 chasers that also include one of the riders from What Women. And then Myra Madeira is 19 seconds further back. And then a further back, then we've started to get 1s and 2s through this race. So we have 3 riders now leading this race, 3 riders chasing. Are they going to come together and form a group of 6? Possibly, I think.
Well, I think what's interesting here, Awaspa girls have got 2 riders in that second group.
Yeah. And
that is going to be really, really key for them. That is going to give them a good time gap if they can keep the gap to the 3rd pack, which is that pack sitting that little bit further back. So Al-Mansouri in here is sat in here. So Al-Mansouri and De Gracia are both riders in the Awaspa girls team with Katrina May Ruby. So they're going to need Ruby, and this is why we say it's so important wherever you are in the race to keep pushing and to be right up there, even if you've got a team of 4. For example, you've got Smithson, Vink and Idzik in the leading group, but in this group we have got Apple Clarissa Garcia, and if she is needed, if one of the other riders has an issue, which we do see on people racing and pushing themselves and their equipment to the limit, then she will be in the best position to step up there. So that is really, really important that she stays in with that group. Great to see these team dynamics at play here as these riders come through. Now, the riders are on the way out, and this is one of those key sections for me. We've gone up the climb. We've dropped down the far side after the first of our climbs, our Category 4 climb, and that is the Aquarian climb. We've gone down into the dip, and this is the climb up that takes us up through the Silent Dune sprint and up to the high point. And basically, this is the penultimate climb. It's not categorized, but it is the penultimate climb on the way through.
It is, and Almansori is a rider struggling at the moment. We've seen the two groups of three come together. Almansori is the rider. She's just a couple of seconds towards the back of the group. But now the group of 6 are all together in this Category 4 race.
That's really interesting because it was 11 seconds that gap from our leading 3, and yet I don't want to use the word the phrase "have thrown that away," but they've let that gap go. That was a good gap.
Yeah, but there are also tactics at play. Now, knowing who those 6 riders are, so What Women have now got all 4 riders together, plus 2 from Al Wafba Girls. Now, if these 6 riders can work together into the base of the final climb, because let's not forget there's still some transition between where they are now and going into the bottom of that climb at 25.4 kilometres. 6 riders could make a bigger gap on the riders behind than the 3 riders constantly watching the 3 chasers.
Well, we will watch with interest as Category 2 got over the top of the climb. The fastest time up that climb, I think, set at the moment by Lisa Hermansen, and that is 7 minutes 48. To put this climb into context, absolutely flying up there, and Hermansen, one of the fancied riders in this. But behind you can see that there are plenty of people scrambling to get onto the wheels. The leading group of Category 2 on the right of your screen, the leading group in Category 1, well, they are onto the climb as well. They are about a third to a half of the way up, 3/8 of the way. There you go. We'll have that as a fraction of the climb ascended. And as you can see, it is the stronger riders that we would expect to be up there, pushing on the front with everybody trying to hold position in here. But Category 1 are midway up the climb. Category 2 are on to the descent. But remember, after the descent from the Aquarian climb, we've got the kicker that we've just seen the Category 4 riders on to follow.
Well, it's going to be really interesting because that Aquarium climb, Hermansen, as you said, 7:48, 38 seconds faster than the quickest time in Category 3, and 1 minute 39 seconds quicker than the fastest time in Category 4.
So really is going up to category ability levels in terms of pace. Now, Category 3 leaders are on the road at the moment. We're just going to see them go, make their way in through, just going through Padnakor, Sarasuk just being passed there. So Sarasuk just being overtaken. So you can just see the lead by Tanya Howeiler with Hadlock, Henao, Zabala, all pushing behind, all trying to stay with the leaders here. Could be really interesting to see if they can keep this pace high. It's doing damage, and it's this climb out after the Aquarian climb.
It is, and you can see on that bottom left-hand corner of your screen, this is probably my favorite view of what we see here, because on that bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you can see this leading pack of Category 3 riders, and it's the first blue blob here, and it is slightly stretched. They've gone past one group of Category 4 riders. There are Category 4 riders further up the climb ahead of them, and you can see the Category 3 gap back to the chasers. So you get a fantastic view of not just what's happening in this race, but what's happening in the other races all around them.
And that is one of the great things, isn't it, about having this split start, that the Category 4, 3, 2 and 1 groups all come together. It does affect the dynamics because, of course, a group coming past will give draft assistance on the way through as well. But it also gives those riders the chance to go with those groups and see whether they can hold the pace. But look at those bands coming in. Well, this is trying to break the group. It is incredible.
Well, and what's really interesting as well, so Heuweller here, she's had 1 first and 1 second this month. She is right at the front of this race. Hadlock is here as well. Now, Hadlock, again, she's had a second this month. Mabin, she's had a 5th. So these riders are absolutely on fire in here. So we've got, and do you know what, Matt? Whereas we said in category 4, we've got the entirety of what women at the front. So every single woman I'm pulling out of this leading pack is in a different team in category 3.
Well, it's kind of going a bit to precision, isn't it?
I did say this was going to be a close race in the team competition category 3, and it is really playing out that way.
Well, I think we're going to have to be further into the race to get a decisive picture of what's happening. And it may well be that we don't know until our riders cross the line. Don't forget, all of the results are on the MyWhoosh.com website. Go on to /results. And don't forget, of course, whilst you're on there, make sure that you follow on social media. It is at MyWhoosh on Instagram and Facebook, so across the Meta platform. On X, formerly known as the artist, formerly known as Twitter, it is my_whoosh, and it is MyWhoosh live on Twitch TV. Please do make sure you go on there and get to see the amazing graphics in all their Technicolor glory, because there's no compression. Even if you're watching live, it's coming to you in full resolution. It's coming out in some fantastic colors. It really does show just how amazing the platform is. And don't forget, whilst you're on there, you can catch up with me and get in touch with Emma as well. Where can we find you on social media, Emma?
You can find me at Biking Emma on Instagram.
You can find me at Matt Fixerpain on Facebook, Instagram, Strava, MyWhoosh, pretty much anywhere. Pretty much anywhere. I'm kind of randomly all over the place and nowhere all at once, generally in a studio.
Well, I'll tell you something. It's really interesting to see. All of our groups now are at a really interesting size at the front of the race. 12 riders in this category 1 race field all together at the moment, about to go over the top of this rise that they are on. They are at 12.8 kilometers into this race. And this is now moving into the descent. So 12 riders together in category 1, 10 in category 2, 10 in category 3, and we had 6 leaders in category 4. So no lone attacks at all so far today, but not really to be expected, Matt.
No, this course doesn't lend itself to a lone attack. It does lend itself to groups, which is why we love it. Now, over the top we go. 7:48 was the time by Lisa Hermansen as the fastest time over the top. I think we're just going to have to see a little bit of an update. We're desperately scrolling down here to find them. Emma, bring us up to date. What's happened to category 1? Where are they?
They are 22 seconds slower than Lisa Hermansen.
What?
So the group going over from category 1, 8 minutes 11. We said Hermansen 7:48. So category 2 setting the fastest time over that time. I told you they were reading a book.
Well, yeah, I'm reading a book. I think they've fallen asleep with the book on their lap at the moment. It's sort of on the handlebars. And we are over the top of the first of those climbs. Now, why would you do this, Emma? I've got my own theories, but tell me, why would you do this? Why would category 2 be so quick and category 1 are choosing not to put the hammer down?
Well, category 2 have pushed on, but they haven't pushed on hugely. This is still, I say pushed on hugely. They're on a climb at the moment, so currently the gradient is 5.9%. Hermansen's heart rate 164. It's a strong effort, but we will see her heart rate go higher. This has been a particularly steady start race for category 1. Category 2 have pushed on a little more. Now, category 2... I think that we talked about it being anybody's race. So they've pushed on a little bit, they've got a smaller group, and now they're quite happy to play this out at the end on the climb. Category 1, well, it all fell apart at the beginning. You know, that group of riders, so 23 riders started, and we saw it all fall apart at the beginning, and 4 different groups come out of the pen, and 4 different groups end up on the road.
So that's what's happened. It's almost white. But why are the riders choosing? Why are category 1 choosing?
Do you know, if you let me get there, I'll tell you.
Well, I'm waiting, but at the moment I'm in danger of my heart rate being lower than these guys. Come on.
You know, and that's it, isn't it? So now it's a steady ride, I think, for category 1 until that mountain, and they are going to go for it eyeballs out over 9 kilometres.
So they're choosing to ride steady.
Yep.
So that they've got as much reserve.
Yep.
At the climb.
Yep.
As much energy as possible at the climb.
the riders who we would expect to be at the top are the riders who are in that front group and have been in that front group from the beginning.
We got there in the end. You could tell.
What's wrong with having a little backstory?
A deep depth analysis there from Professor Emma Martin.
A little backstory is good.
Right. Just give me the headlines. Definitely every time. Right.
No, you see, I'm reading the book.
Well, reading the book is category 1 on the left of your screen. Category 2.
Look at the heart rate on category 1. 119.
And compare that to category 4. 160 heart rate there for the leader on the road, Gina Di Grazia. That's the riders this is why we love MyWhoosh. We have 4 categories. We have category 1 and category 4 on the screen. And I tell you what, quite often this is reflected in elite sport and in racing in general across all disciplines. The categories who are at category 1, the very cream of the crop, they're much more clinical in their racing.
Racing isn't just about how fast you can go from the gun. Racing is about tactics. Racing is about your head. It's not just about ultimate physical ability.
Very much so, and I think category 4 are racing and enjoying the racing and are using the course and the entirety of the course to do the damage. What I find really interesting here, we've got 7 riders basically in this group. 7 leading riders in category 4, so that's pretty much half the race field. This is going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Sorry, 6 riders in this group, because of course Madeira is a little bit further back in the group. So they are the leaders on the way up the climb, working really well here. Let's see, for me, whether they can keep this going all the way to the finish. I think they can. I don't think it's going to come down. But are we now going to see them back off? Because 165 is a really high heart rate. We're still a long way to go, aren't we?
Let's put the heart rate into perspective, because it is relative. For some riders, 165 is their maximum heart rate. I know a number of riders who at 165 have blown into the red. For other riders, 201 is where we might see them get to. So it is very relative to the individual, and individuals will know their own range, and they will be able to ride within that.
And that is one of the reasons why we are seeing on MyWhoosh that with the new rule sets that are coming in, that it's reflective. It's not just about an FTP level giving you your performance level and your racing group, is it? It's a whole mix of physiological data and performance data,
which for me makes much more sense, because what you can do over a traditional FTP test in 20 minutes is not representative of what your highest sprint power is, or what your so as Matt has indicated, there has been an announcement about a new rule set. So if you are interested in joining us on the Sunday Race Club, or you already race on the Sunday Race Club, head over to mywhoosh.com, click on the events page, click on the Sunday Race Club, and there you will find all the documents you need. So head over. There is the rule set, there's a technical guide, there's frequently asked questions, and there is also help available should you want to contact race support.
Yep, so race support dealing with all the racing issues, support at mywhoosh.com are the guys who deal with all the technical issues. I've got to say, a fantastic team. We've been in touch with all of them, and we know them all, and I've got to say, everybody doing an amazing job of bringing out a fantastic race for us to put words to the action to. And again, the riders making it happen.
Yeah, and talking about making it happen, Isabella Giraldo in this Category 3 race is down the road. Carolina Alzat is the rider, being passed now by the front of the Category 2 race. And look at that, she's just jumped back in with the group. So she's put a little push on to get into the group and to take the draft from the Category 2 riders that have just come past her. So the lead of Category 2 on the road, catching the back of Category 3 riders and pushing on now at just coming up to 21 kilometres into this 35-kilometre race.
And as this group continues to push, a quick reminder, the key part that we've been talking about is that final climb. There is climb up to the Jebel Hafit. It is an absolutely critical part of the course. but there are so many opportunities to make a move. However, not taking very many of those are the group from Category 1. We're in with Catherine Fua at the moment. Fua's heart rate 152, 75 revs per minute, 250 watts. We know definitely that Fua is capable of more. We know she can go deeper in there. You can see if you look at the zone she's sitting currently in as zone 4 at the moment. Basically, the red is going in the red zone. Number 1 is a nice, easy spin, basically sat reading your book pretty much. But this group now on this climb, they're not thinning down. They're not going down. Emma's prediction 100% right there. This is just about making the way through. And whilst they might be ticking along at a reasonable pace, they are not expending too much energy. They're not pushing themselves in that red zone, and it does mean that we are going to be saving all of the fireworks towards the end. Think of it, instead of it being a big boom all in one go, it's like a rocket. They are propelling themselves along until that final explosion that's going to come on the final climb. So here we go, underneath the next of our sprint banners. This is the Silent Dune sprint. So this is our penultimate sprint section. It's not the top of the ascent, as you can see, top right-hand side of your screen. We've got that slight climb up, but very indicative of what's going on. You can see that in position 1, we've got Jenny Tam from Category 2. In position 9, we've got our Category 3 rider in there, and in fact, it's multicolored below, but this group of Category 1 going up that climb, their power and pace telling in the time, but virtually nothing separating the riders as they go up there at the moment through the Silent Dune sprint. And that is part way up the climb out from the depression that follows the Aquarium climb. So the Aquarium climb, Category 4, then descending, then the rise out from that depression, all done and dusted. And as they make the way up here, I think everybody really waiting for that climb now.
Yeah, just 5 seconds separating the top 38 riders. And bearing in mind those top 38 riders are across all 4 categories, we can see everybody moving pretty much there or thereabouts. So now 51 minutes into this race. This is the Category 4 race field. They are still the leaders on the road. And I'm just taking a little look back. 59 seconds behind are the Category 3 riders. So they are indeed catching. But at the moment, the top 6 riders on the road are these top 6 women you can see in front of you. So Vink, Smithson, De Gracia, Idzik, Smithson, Almansori, all in here, and Clarice Garcia is here too. So that for me, well, that is the women and the Al Wathba girls.
Well, here we go. We're going on to the climb. The first of the riders going underneath the banner. This Jebel Hafit is the ascent. This is a monster of a climb, 9.5k of climbing. As part of the climb, another further 500 meters beyond the climb finish banner to take you on to the finish line itself. This is a moment where these riders can't hide any longer. There's no sitting in the draft that's going to make a huge amount of difference. It's about the ascent, it's about the climb, it's about the profile, it's about making sure that these riders know what's in front of them. Behind, you can see that the Category 3 riders are moving, and they are moving well. They're about to hit this self-same banner, and they have brought along for the ride. It is Myra Madeira, who sat in the middle of that group from Category 4, so she's been able to benefit from the draft on this faster, flatter section. And as they come on to the climb, Category 4 on the climb, Category 3 also on to our final climb of the day.
Yeah, so 12 riders in this leading group of Category 3 riders. They're picking up Category 2 riders and taking them with them, but as they go into this climb, the Category 4 rider is not going to be able to stay there. That's my prediction, and we're going to see this Category 3 race progress until they catch the front of that Category 4 race field. And on that bottom left-hand side of your screen, you can see that leaders on the road. You can see that red blob ahead. That is the top of the Category 4 race. Those are our 6 current leaders on the road today.
So on this first step, this first rise, one of the steeper sections, 10% and climbing at the moment. Now into 11, you can see though the kick starting to come. The riders diving into the red. You can see they're in zone 6. That is the red zone. You can see those colours, those chevrons going across your screen. That's an indicator of just how hard these riders are working. It's flagging up the fact that they are all having to dive into the red zone to try and stay with the leader at the moment. It's Hadlock who's setting the pace. She's got Howeiler and Henau for company. This is going to be really, really interesting. And as Emma has already pointed out, all on different teams.
Yeah, and the time gap coming down quite dramatically now. So it was a minute before the Category 3 riders have gone into this climb, now looking around 40 seconds. So they are tapping their way towards the front of this race. Al-Mansouri is the rider in 6th position, but is pretty much looking like that group of 6 Category 4 riders. While there's a little bit of a spread on the group all still in contact with each other just up the road around that sweeping left-hand bend.
So the riders are on the way up. The first 2 have gone over the first of our steps. We're soon to see a collection of the riders. We'll see how that's going to play out when they get there. But this is Category 3. They are working well together, and they are currently being rejoined. The 3 leaders just see Mabin go over the top, see McAlpine go over the top as well. So this is I make this pretty much basically every team's got representation still in here in a substantial way.
Yep, absolutely. And you're just double checking and double counting what I did last time we were in this group, and it is still the same. Every team has representation in this lead group in Category 3. And as we predicted at the front, the 3rd counter and the time of the 3rd counter is going to be absolutely key today. So every second is going to count for these Category 3 riders. Wherever they are on the road, they are going to need to continue to push.
Well, really interesting for me, Grind My Gears have got every single team member in there.
Yeah, well,
every single team member for Grind My Gears, Pelagio, McAlpine, Kokkonen and Hadlock.
That's a good squad.
They are all in there. This Category 3 will be incredibly interesting to see what happens there. Well, but so is Category 4, right hand side of your screen, because we have got De Grazia and Garcia currently at the moment with a little bit of a gap to the riders behind now.
And one from each team there.
Yeah, indeed. Now we could just see the Category 2 leaders on the way in here. Walkenhurst, Daniel, Taconis, Hermansen. They hit the base of the climb. They've got a few riders to go past. These are riders who are a little bit further down in the Category 3 and 4 race. Are about to see the train come through. And now, really interesting there. Miller just been not caught napping, but I think just taking a little bit more time to react to the increase in gradient there. Was dropped off the back of the group, now goes up and through, and you can see the pace of Category 2 riders on this climb. This is going to be interesting because I think they're going to push very hard from the word go.
Well, it's a very steep start to this climb, as we saw with the other categories. It hits more than 10% before we get that slight dip. And you can see that step on the top right-hand corner of your screen. So the leaders in Category 2 moving in to the base of the climb, and instantly it's at 11%. And the stretch on the group is taking place. So Montoya, Hermansen, Walkenhurst, Daniel and Embring are the riders towards the front of this group. Now, Hermansen and Embring have been 1 and 2 for the last 2 weeks in the qualifiers. So both riding really strong on very different types of courses.
So Category 2 riders going to be lighting up the mountain at the front of the climb. Though you can see that we are now going to see a change in colour at the front. The riders in red of Category 4 are now going to be absorbed and, as I suspect, passed by the riders in Category 3. You can see them making their way through. They've caught them on a pretty tough section. It's 6.5% as you come around this right-hand bend here on the course. It's not a full hairpin turn, but it is enough to do some damage here. And are all the riders coming through? Really interesting. Garcia is trying to go with them, trying to use this to her advantage and trying to break Apocloris Garcia, who is a little bit further back here. This is going to be very, very interesting. So here we go. They have come together. We're going to see how they get on. So they are currently over the second of the steps. It's easy to lose count. So I'll tell you what, let's take a look at the profile. Let's just have a quick reminder to ourselves of where these riders are on that profile. Now you can see it is steps on its way up. So we basically passed the 25.5 kilometre. We've gone up the first step and rise onto the second one, and we're currently about a third of the way up. But there are some really big flat sections, and for me, the penultimate kicker, there's a little kicker, then it flattens before the run in towards the finish there. That's going to be really tough stuff, isn't it? But overall, it's just incredibly long.
Yeah, it is. Well, it is incredibly long. It's 9.5 kilometres long, and its average gradient is 7%, you know. So it is by no means a steady state climb. And whilst we see the descents, I mean, it dropped to -2 very quickly, didn't it? But it also goes up to 11, 12, 13% in places. So it is a hard climb. It is not a climb for those steady state climbers who like to tap a consistent pace. The gradient does change.
And it's changing constantly. So it's for somebody who can be flexible with their pedal revs on the way through. So our riders in category 3 and 4 well up the slopes. Category 1 going to be fast approaching the base on the way through. Fantastic to get that reminder. Category 1, the top left-hand side of your screen, they're at 23.9k, so they're about 1k out. The nerves will be jangling. Category 2 already well up on to the climb, as are categories 3 and 4. And remember, we have seen a slight exchange in the lead. Category 4 now being swept aside. Apocloris going to be on the way through. Apocloris Garcia being dropped off this group. She hung on the longest, I suspect, to the leading group there in category 4, which is interesting because it was DeGracia who was trying to push the pace on there, but she's been distanced out.
Yeah,
so real big change.
Perhaps putting herself a little bit too close into the red because she tried to go with that category 3 group in that additional push, just pushing her heart rate up too far. So just all change at the front now with category 3 moving through, category 4 changing as well. And well, this is the final sprint before the big climb of the Jebel Hafit. And well, it's category 2 going through with the fastest time of 29 seconds. But take a look at that, 2.5 watts per kilo coming through. So category 2, nice and steady through. In fact, the category 2 field through. The category 3 field traveling at 0.5 of a second slower. So it's the first 21 riders through category 3, category 4 and category 2 all coming through there within a second of each other. And well, 1.3 seconds back, that's the category 1 leading race field.
And whereabouts did they come in terms of numbers?
So mid-20s through to 30.
Okay, so on the way into the climb through the UNESCO World Heritage Site that is Al Ain, 27 key landmarks, key historical sites down there that make up the Al Ain UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was category 1, taking it steady and sightseeing their way into the base of the climb, but they're not going to have much other than tunnel vision for the top of the climb very shortly, and they'll be hunting for the polka dot banners and for, of course, that checkered flag and the confetti cannons that will explode when they reach the top. They're going to have their work cut out to close down all of the riders, though, because categories 3 and 4 have both been incredibly competitive. 2 has been chasing hard as well, and it does mean that category 1, well, they've got a lot of work to do after that initial blowing apart of the race from the start. This group of riders really are now going to need to prove what they can do. They hit the base of the climb, 9.5k to the top of the climb segment, 10k to the...
Just as a bit of information, there's been huge variability in the finish time of the category 1 women on this race course.
Okay.
telling me that we have seen very different tactics play out on the Hebel Hafit for this Women's Sunday Race Cup. Now, the times for the Category 1 race field have been between an hour and 10 minutes, which is the fastest time, and an hour and 15 minutes, which is the slowest winning time. So
5 minutes slower.
So 5 minutes slower. Now, in the February final, it was 1 hour 11. But it has varied quite dramatically. Normally, when we see variation in women's in finish times for Category 1, it's like 1.5 minutes. So very, very consistent. This course gives very different racing.
Wow. We'll see whether this is... I suspect this
it's been a very slow start for the Category 1 race field.
This could set a new record slow.
Well,
which doesn't mean there won't be much action, and that is such contrast, isn't it? Because we saw initial action, and we're going to see action at the end, but we'll see what the time will be when they cross the line. Don't forget, of course, all the results on mywhoosh.com/results. Now, on your screens, the left-hand side is Category 2, right-hand side is Category 3. Category 3 are also leaders on the road. They are clear of all the rest of the riders. And at the moment, Kekkonen are pushing on with Gallego, Headout, Hawaila, Hadlock, McAlpine, and De Silva. They are the riders leading the way up here, but De Silva 1:23 down on the race lead. Meanwhile, Category 2 leaders, Hermansen, Walkenhurst, and Embring, aka Team Europe, are the team who are pushing on, but they have company as well. And interesting that Takonis is right in there from the Rising Stars team, really looking to push to keep with this group. You've got Jenny Daniel in here from Beast Mode team as well. So even if this group were to keep together and the positions remain the same, and we saw Team Europe take top prize, remember, we still have prizes for 5 teams, and everything will come down to what the third counter will do in each of those teams, I suspect.
Well, talking about prizes, Matt, 40 different women have so far taken prizes this month.
40
across the 4 race fields. 40 different women have taken prizes this month.
And that shows you, doesn't it, just how competitive the racing is across those categories. So let's see who's going to be. Will it be a new name up there? Will it be one of our established stars who takes away the prizes in categories 4, 3, 2, and 1? At the moment, Lisa Hermansen tapping away a great rhythm here as she goes up. She's putting some power down, and just a quick gear change from her there. She went from 65 revs per minute to 85 revs per minute. Sitting consistently at 65, then went to 85, changing gear and just keeping those revs in a good place, so making sure that she can keep the pressure on. Now, it looks to me like Team Europe are trying to break Takonis here, because you've got Hermansen pushing, you've got Embring and Walkenhurst. We saw Walkenhurst just go into the red to try and close the gap down. They won't want to drop a teammate, but they will want to drop Takonis. This is where they've got to be really smart here, and Walkenhurst is going to be turning herself inside out. I have been man 3 on a time trial with a 3-man time trial, team time trial, and I tell you something, it is the worst place in the world when you are on the last rider of the 3 and you are having to dig so deep in to hang on to the wheels, and you don't want to let your teammates down. It's the last thing you want to do. But if you are not quite on the pace at a particular part in the course, it's so painful. You just got to focus on the back wheel. You've just got to know you hang on, try and snap the rest of the riders. Such a tough place to be.
Well, and still 6.5 kilometres to go up that mountain for Category 2. They've got a lot longer way to go for Category 1 because, well, there they are. They are at 26.7 kilometres into this 35-kilometre race. They have so far climbed 319 metres. Let me remind you, 905 metres by the checkered flag. So there's a lot of climbing to go. And, well, Category 1, Quevedo is leading them up the mountain. Quevedo is at the front. But this group, well, currently,
I think they're having a coffee, which I nearly spat out when you said that we've done 300 of 900 metres.
They've still got 600 metres of climbing to go.
Putting it in that context, 600 metres to go is huge. I mean, but it looks to me like there are still riders who, at the moment, are playing tactical games.
Oh, this is the most tactical race I think we've seen from these Category 1 women in a long time. You know, we've seen attacks before, we've seen Menendez go, we've seen her attack and push, and I think this is just representative of the fact the team competition is so competitive.
And do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Grand Tours, where there's so much respect between the riders about each other's abilities that it almost makes them fearful of attacking each other, because they don't want to make a mistake and play the card at the wrong time, play it too early. But they're then worried that if they don't play it, they'll run out of time to use that ace, to use that card. And I think for me, this is, it's amazing the respect they have, but it's also in some ways stifling their initiative.
2 teams have got 4 riders in this front group. So Engstrom, Bardeskaya, Manshandi and Bjarhed from Fizzy Pops. Ervek, Quevedo, Fura and Menendez from Spartan Obstacles. All in this leading front group.
Make a different day, won't it, when we have a Fizzy Pop instead of a Spartan at the top? It's pretty much...
It's going to be, like I say...
Light, fizzy and sweet versus stark, barren, bare, minimalistic warrior. You know, I think the warrior race. You've got pop culture versus, you know, ancient warrior race. Just get more contrast.
We're taking a look now back in this Category 2 race. Hermansen and Embring have pushed on. They've now got an 8-second gap on Daniel and Tokarnas. Walkenhurst as well is in that chasing group of 3. So we've now got 2 lone leaders in this Category 2 race.
So here we go. 2 leaders, Hermansen and Embring. And Walkenhurst was the rider that was struggling to stay with the pace of teammate. Tokarnas, Daniel and Walkenhurst now are a group of 3. And Walkenhurst must have one mission here, surely. That is to stay with Daniel, to stay with Kona, because if she can stay with them, she will be assuring Team Europe with that win.
Yeah,
however,
completely and utterly.
Lose time in a big way, find some of the 2 riders, Daniel and Tokarnas' teammates, come past, and she could find that top prize potentially slipping away. Now back to Category 1. Catherine Fua is on the move. We've seen 2s, 3s, 4s. We're now at 5 and 6 watts per kilo coming out, because Fua has said enough is enough. We've played games long enough. This is the time to go. Now is the time to make it happen. Decisive moment. Fua now puts the pressure on. Who can answer it?
Well, she's been out training in the mountains. She identified a weakness and she's gone and done something about it. 4 weeks mountain training is what she's been out doing. And this is the reason why, because she can put the attack in now on this climb.
And it's been paying off in the previous week. It's shown, hasn't it? If you had to say what has Fua addressed, it wasn't her time trial ability, it wasn't her power. We knew that was good.
No.
It's her climbing, and boy, look at this. She's got out, she's put them in trouble, and they are having to take the time closing this down. They couldn't do it just with a single jump. That is the pressure she's put on this group. And if you look at those numbers, she has got the riders behind. They're strung out. There's 1s and 2s. It's not a big bunch. And if she can repeatedly keep this pressure on, she's going to break this down. Remember, they came in there really motoring. There was a big group of them. They had plenty of energy, plenty of fuel left in the tank. It's going to come down to this power. There's got riders in this group, people like Menendez, Quevedo, you do not want to take to a sprint on a mountain.
No, you don't.
You just do not want to do that, because if it comes to a sprint, they are the names that you're likely to see with that fantastic, very explosive kick. They've got to have that kick numbed by the riders who maybe don't have such explosive power but can climb all the way through and put it in steady state. This is the way to do it.
This is a great job by Bjarhed to pull this gap down. No panic. So Fua went down the road. No panic from behind. Very, very smart riding. And Bjarhed just setting a tempo, pushing at that tempo, and the gap coming back down, and they are about to come back onto the wheel of Fua.
So for in the lead with the white helmet, immediately behind her, you can see Dagan Mashandi, Cavedo, both are wearing her darker helmets. You just see Menendez in the blue cap working away up here as well. But this is all about pulling that gap back. Meanwhile, front of the race in its totality, and it's Pauli Henao who has gone. Henao has got the gap on Kekkonen at 10 seconds. You can see them behind. She's now at 30.4k, 4.6k to go still to the summit. However, this climb is one way, if you want to put a gap in, you've got to put a big gap in. Because it can be closed down very quickly. You see it time and time again when we have mountain top finishes on the Grand Tours, on the Classics, when we are out on the tour of the UAE, when we're on the Yebel Have Feet on the road. You can make a big difference in a very short space of time. In terms of time gaps, they are huge. It's about that push to line. So, Henao now on a break. Kekkonen chasing Howeiler, De Silva, Hadlock, Gallego, and Mabin, the nearest contenders in Category 3. Category 2, well, Hermansen and Embring are closing down on Mabin at the moment. They are the leaders of Category 2. They've just gone past Pelagio, McAlpine, and Zabala. And it looks to me like the Category 2 riders in green on the left of your screen have their intentions very clearly laid out. They want to be up at the top. They want to be first over the line, and they want the prizes in their category.
Well, that Category 3 race is going to be really interesting. Heino, she's had a second and 2 fourths this month. Kekkonen's had a first, a third, and a fifth. Hadlock has had a second, Howeiler a first and a second. So it is going to be so competitive. Heino may be 3 seconds clear at the moment, but Howeiler and Kekkonen are the two chasing riders. I think this is going to come back together again as a group of 3. And let's not rule out Hadlock and De Silva behind, because they are not that far behind.
They're not out. We've got to remember that we have flatter sections where the gaps will open and the physical distance between each of the avatars will increase. And then there will be a climbing section where that distance will decrease and there's more chance of taking the draft. Where you push, where you use your energy, really, really key. So on the right hand side of your screen, your Category 3 leaders on the road. Kekkonen, Henao, Howeiler, now joined by Hadlock, who makes contact at the back as Kekkonen goes off the front. And in fact, it is 2 riders who got back on, because De Silva and Hadlock have both made contact. This is going to be really interesting.
6 again.
Yeah, Gallego's back in. We are back to 6 riders. Kekkonen pushed on as they were starting to catch. What an interesting move. We saw a quick flick back to Category 1 as well. We've just got Fua up the road at the moment, still with that gap in Category 2, who are currently on the left of your screen. It is Embring and Hermansen who have the gap on Jenny Daniel, who is currently a pretty substantial way down the road. Daniel at the moment looks like she's about 30 seconds or so off the leaders. So going to be very, very close. 25 seconds at the moment. The time gap just yo-yoing around, just sub 30. So that's going to be really, really interesting to see where that goes. Kekkonen, though, on the move again on the right of the screen onto the big screen now. And here we are. This is the front of the race. These 3 leaders still have a big gap to everybody else. But look at the train coming up behind on that sat-nav view. The only colour we can't see on there is yellow, but there's a big train behind this leading group in the battle for the lead in Category 3.
Well, this isn't just the lead in terms of the individual win. This is the battle for the team competition as well in Category 3. Kekkonen pushing on. Howeiler is the rider trying to respond behind. And we're now starting to see the gaps open up here through this race field. So Kekkonen pushes. She's pushing at 2.8 watts per kilo, 3 watts per kilo, 3.5 watts per kilo. She's continuing to try and work her way up this mountain. Holweller now looking at around 2 seconds back. In fact, you can see her helmet just coming onto the screen. She's in that striped helmet, whereas Kekkonen is with the red hair. So Kekkonen, the leader, in 1, white shoes, red hair, no gloves. Holweller in 2. She's got the striped cap on. And she is chasing. And then the group of category 3 riders, well, they are not far behind, you know. There's pretty much still just 6 or 7 seconds separating the top 6 in that race field. Well, Catherine Furr now from category 1. She has indeed pushed on. She's now 12 seconds clear of Bardskaya, Bjarhed, Quevedo, Engstrom, Menezes and Manshandi. It's looking like the chase group down the mountain is smaller than it was when they went in. And that's all because of the attack on the front of this category 1 race field by Catherine Furr.
And a quick reminder, 10,000 AED in category 1 for the win, 50,000 for the team win. And in front of the rider in yellow with a white helmet from Switzerland, it is Catherine Furr. She'll want to make it to the top at the front. Never know, she might be buoyed by the results from the short track and the mountain bike World Cup, which has just taken place. Switzerland not doing too badly in that, particularly in the women's race. I'm not going to give you any spoilers in case you haven't watched it. No, Emma hasn't seen this yet, but it's good. It's a great race. Now, let's see if the similar effort can be put in here by Furr, because she has got a similar kind of time, I suspect, or less, in fact, to the summit, because this is about this push. We're now 1 hour and 5 in terms of racing for Furr. She is currently inside the last 5K. The chase group are on the right-hand side of your screen here, and this really is a who's who. I mean, we've got Bardskaya, Quevedo, we've got Bjarhed in here, we've got Engstrom in here. Cornelia Engstrom is really improved this month. She's right completely up in the mix, isn't she? She's totally at home in this group. And it's great to see Dana Deggan-Mashandi also riding back where we've seen her riding not that long ago, but she's had a little bit of time where she's maybe not been right at the front.
Yeah, and of course you can't stay right at the front of a race field, you know, for 360 days of the year. You know, you are going to have different finishing positions and different plans to enact. Now, Engstrom riding really strongly, so is Bardskaya, Quevedo, Menezes, Manshandi, and we've now got gaps starting to form back to Everhek and Gonzalez Rua. They are the 2 riders a little bit further back down the race field. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 riders chasing 1 rider, and the rider there chasing up the road and out of sight is indeed Catherine Furr. Now, this is not just an individual battle, this is a team battle, because this is Spartan Obstacles versus Fizzy Pops.
Love it. No other word for it. Just love it.
The team competition really adds a very different dynamic to the final of the Sunday Race Club. Now, I said earlier on, the bottom left-hand corner screen graphic was my favourite, and this really comes to show why. Take a look at that at the moment, and you can see this Category 1 race playing out on the screen at the bottom. Catherine Furr just coming up onto the back of those green Category 2 riders a little bit further up the mountain. This Category 1 group here just coming past Madeira, our Category 4 rider. You can see they've got another Category 4 rider just up the road ahead of them. And so now we're starting to see the other categories separate Furr from this chase group.
I'm just looking at those gaps here at the moment. Now, this group has gone down. It's Deggan-Mashandi and Menezes has gone off the back. This is really, really critical.
It is.
Furr is down the road. Okay, she's effectively number 1. In group number 2, you've got Quevedo from Spartan Obstacle, the teammate of Furr. But in group number 2, you've got Engstrom, you've got Bardskaya and Bjarhed of Fizzy Pops. Then, group 2 0.5, the two riders who've been distanced, Degum and Shandy for Fizzy Pops, and the third counter for the Spartan Obstacles. And then you've got Everheck of Spartan Obstacles in Group 3 on the road, and Gonzalez of Fizzy Pops. Now, Fua's lead is going to be critical here because the third counter, Menendez, has been distanced off this big group. If she can get back in and stay with this group, which she's just about doing, that is going to be key for her because they're going to be reliant on Fua's gap to set a big time advantage over the rest of the group. For the other riders, not in Spartan Obstacles, it's about keeping that time down and distancing the third counter in the Spartan Obstacles. Fantastic game of cycling chess being played out in Category 1, and it's looking like it's all kicking off again in Category 3.
Well, it is Hino who was indeed our leader in Category 3 last time we dropped in. Well, she's been broken, now 30 seconds down on this leading group of 5. So Hino is the rider you can just see in the distance, having come round the bend at the back. This group, though, are leading. We are in with Kekkonen. See, there you go. We're in with Kekkonen 38 seconds up the road. That leading group of what is now 5 Category 3 women are.
And look at Pauli Henao here on your screens. 1 hour 20 of racing, 125 the heart rate. The cadence, though, 48-49 here. Change gear. Go somewhere easy. Use some lungs. Don't make those legs suffer anymore. I can feel those legs screaming at the moment. It's so easy when you're really having a hard time. You go down and you end up stuck in a gear maybe you don't want to be in, and you just push it round, and you're in this whole world of pain, and you really got to keep those legs spinning. But then you put it in an easier gear, and your lungs and your legs start burning. You're like, I've got nothing left. And we've all done it. We have all done it. And it's, in some ways, it's the only way to get better.
And she's about to see her Manson and Embring, the lead in the Category 2 race, come past her and move into position 6 and 7 in the race today on the road.
Well, look at them go. They're motoring the way up here. Now, Pauli Henao hasn't got to go try and chase after them because she's got to do some recovery here. I mean, a brave move by Henao. Got to say, if there was a combativity award, she potentially would get it for kicking on hard. She now has to try and stay clear of McAlpine and Mabin. So, Pauli Henao, big kudos for going for it. It didn't pay off this time.
It will do one day.
I'm sure it will do soon. Moving up really well there. Good ride by her to do that. But I think now her time at the front is done, and it's time to get to that finishing line. Meanwhile, the rider who's showing no signs of abating and hasn't gone too far in the red yet, Catherine Fua, hopefully going to get this timing just right. You want to cross the line with basically nothing left in that tank, but look at the gap.
Well, I'll tell you, she is sitting between 4.5 and 4.7 watts per kilo and tapping out her own rhythm to continue to lead the front of this women's race. Absolutely brilliant work up this mountain. You can just see it's now gone onto a flat section and continuing to pick up the cadence now and push on. The cadence picking up to 90 revs per minute. That is the flat section, and a little bit of motoring, a little bit of respite, but she's not dropping the pace, you know, Matt. She's not taking the recovery because Quevedo, Bardeskaya, Menendez, Biarhead, Engstrom and Manshandi, well, they are around 30 seconds back down the mountain.
I was just watching Catherine Fua's cadence, her speed, and the gradient as she came through there. She didn't change gear. She powered over the top, and instead of maybe, it's so tempting, you go over onto a flat bit, you change gear into a bigger gear, you push a bit harder, then you have to change back down. She knows this climb. She went over the top, and she revved through that section. The revs went up, but the gear didn't, and that was really interesting. That's a clear sign that she's still feeling fluid and flexible and still got plenty left.
It is, and I'm just going to make one comment because she's 30 seconds clear of that chase group. 27 seconds was what separated the top 3 Category 1 teams in July.
Wow. It puts it together.
It does, doesn't
It's
it?
so close in that team competition. Big prizes to be had. 50,000 AED up for grabs in category 1. Remember, massive prize fund for all of our women's and men's races across the MyWhoosh platform, as we are in with the riders who are battling for first and second place in the individual competition and are trying to set the foundation down for a team win in category 2. Anna Embring and Lisa Hermansen, the two Swedes leading category 2 at the moment, working well together. They're about to come on to the back of Kekkonen, of De Silva, of Gallego, of the front of this race, and take the race lead in the race overall. Remember, there's no prizes for the overall race. It is in individual categories, but every rider wants to be up at the front, and it is often just a byproduct of what is some really intense racing, because they've got Jenny Daniel 45 seconds behind. They can't back off. They won't want Daniel to come back. They want to set a big margin, put that foundation down on the team win, and at the moment they are at 33.5k covered of 35-kilometre course. So the front of this race fast approaching the top of the climb.
Yeah, they are indeed. So with 1.4 kilometres to go, you can see the catch from the Category 2 race has spurred the Category 3 race, but also the gradient is helping out the moment because it has backed off completely, just 1% at the moment. And those in the Category 3 race just utilising that. So Holweller is indeed the rider at the front who has seen the catch from Category 2 and wants to push on and make the most of this. So Tanya Holweller just pushing on here. Gallego is the rider following her. Hadlock is then a little bit further back. So Holweller just making the most of this, and she's going to come up very, very quickly on quite a steep little section. It is then going to flatten off again before we go to the finish.
And these kickers, these strong starts kicking sections as you roll off the flat onto the gradient are where you will see the power going down. You see that Holweller at 6 watts per kilo.
She wants this. She wants this.
And she's got 1k to get it. So she wants it. She knows how far it is to the finishing line, but everybody wants top spot on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Who's going to come out with that first prize? Who is going to be claiming the rest of the spoils in that fantastic prize list? And look at this, Category 2 and 3 leaders on the road, leading the race at the moment. It's Holweller from Category 3, then it's Embring and Manson from Category 2, then it's De Silva, Hadlock and Kekkonen from Category 3, with Gallego not all that far behind, right in the mix. And then it's a decent-sized gap back to Daniel at 43 seconds down, followed by Henao and McAlpine. But this is the race lead. It's 800 meters to go. We've got another long leveling off here. It is not flat by any stretch of the imagination. We're still at 2% gradient as we go through. Meanwhile, Fua is chasing. This will probably be our last look back at Fua before we get to the race finish of the race leaders. Fua at the moment is further down the hill, about 1.5k, 1.9k in fact, off the race finish. So we'll be watching her come in. If she keeps hold of that lead, she's currently got about 42-second lead on Quevedo, Bardskaya, and Menenzes chasing group behind are trying to catch her back, but still giving time. But this is your race lead. We're at 400 meters to go. We are going to see a mixed group come in here. Can Category 2 use this? Kekkonen's gone though. Kekkonen has kicked early. She's gone to 5 watts per kilo. She's looking to take the sting out of anybody who wants to sprint this out. Look at this. This is a push, and it's come from Category 3, not from Category 2, but Category 2's being answered. Coming back, it's going to be a kick from Hermansen now. Hermansen on the way up here, 200 meters to go.
Well, Hermansen pushes Embring in too. Embring's responding. Kekkonen and De Silva are the leaders at the moment in the Category 3 race. Hermansen going at 9.3 watts per kilo. She's still got 100 meters to go, but is she going to take this today? So it's Hermansen pushing Embring in too. Hermansen is going to take this. Lisa Hermansen takes the win in Category 2 on the Sunday Race Club August final. And Hohweiler is pushing on now in Category 3. Tanya Hohweiler is going to take the win in Category 3 from Novelin Kekkonen. De Silva is in there as well. Wow, wow, wow.
So Hermansen and Embring, the 1-2 in category number 2. Then you can see that Hohweiler, De Silva and Kekkonen in category 3, your top 3 in there. Now we're going to see Gallego come through. I think it's going to be in what is going to be 4th place. It's going to be Hadlock coming through for 5th. Should be Jenny Daniel on her way in over the line in category 3 to take 3rd place, but we'll go back to category 1 now. 200 meters to go for Catherine Fua, who broke clear, making her way up here. So category 1 making her way up here, sorry, 1.2k. So we've still got plenty of distance to go here. You know, I thought she was so much closer to the top, but it shows you the gap that was given away by category 1 so early. We're going to have a lot of riders in on the way through, and it still leaves time for this chasing group to bring that gap down. Fua has got to keep the pressure on those pedals.
Well, she is indeed, and that is still, you know, she's still tapping out that pace we were talking about before, and she has not changed. Now, what has changed is the fact that the group behind are looking at each other, and she would have banked on this. She would have banked on the fact that the group behind from different teams had their eyes on each other and not on her, and that is what has happened, and that is what has allowed her get the gap that she's got. So Fua absolutely at the front of this category 1 race, showing us that training pays off. The group behind, well, they are now 200 meters behind her. That might not sound like a lot, but when the gradient is 7.7%, well, it's a long way.
And this is playing into the hands of Quevedo. Quevedo wants that time gap to be as big as possible. She will not chase that gap down. She's not going to pull that back. Engstrom is, because she wants to pull the gap back down again for the Fizzy Pots team. But if Quevedo can sit on this group, she has a phenomenal sprint. We know she can put 15 watts per kilo down in a sprint. She's got a massive kick. So the longer this is left to increase the gap for Fua at the front, who's about to go underneath the end of the climb banner with 500 meters to go, the better it is for Quevedo, because it means she's more likely to be able to kick on. And the only thing she doesn't want is the group to come up behind. But if they do, I mean, Menezes is there, and she's a teammate as well. So at the moment, Spartan Obstacles in the driving seat. You've got Fizzy Pops trying to bring this back and use their strength in depth. This is going to be a very close indeed on this team competition. Let's see who's going to get it. So here we go. Fua pushing in. She's now at 300 meters to go behind. You can see the chase is on, but they are still, what is about 400 meters on the road as the chasers come underneath the Yebel Hafid climb banner. Let's take a quick look at Fua here, looking good. She's now at 200 meters. Now 4.1, 4.3, 4.7. It's yo-yoing a little bit more, showing she's maybe a little bit more tired, but this is the final push to the line. She's looking for the yellow banner. She can see the yellow banner. This is what she wants. She's going to run her way on in to the finish here. What a ride by Catherine Fua. She broke clear. All the week spent climbing mountains have paid off for Catherine Fua from the Spartan Obstacles. She takes the win here on the finals in August on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. What a ride by Fua. Will she have done enough to secure the team win? Well, this is the run for the line, and this is about the kick in to that finish.
Yeah, it is indeed. And Menezes, Quevedo, Engstrom are all here. Is Quevedo going to take it? She goes at 8 watts per kilo. So Menezes goes at 7. Quevedo is going to get, I think Menezes is going to come over the top of Quevedo. It's going to be Menezes, Quevedo, Engstrom, and then Bardskaya.
Well, that's going to be a 1, 2, 3 for the Spartan Obstacles, who will clean up in that team competition. The foundation laid well and truly by Catherine Fua, who takes away the race victory. So it's Fua, Menezes, Cavedo, Engstrom, and Bardaskaya, your top 5, subject to verification, as is always the case in esports racing. What a great race. Fantastic to see the action here today. Please do remember, though, that we have got lots more action. It's been a pleasure putting words to the action. My name's Matt Payne. I'm here in the studio with Emma Martin. We will be joined by a guest for interview in the men's racing. That is Kevin Poulton, the UAE Team Emirates coach, and a man who knows this platform inside out and better than pretty much anybody else. So please, guys, do make sure you tune in for that. But thank you to our riders for keeping us entertained and putting on such a great show, making our lives a little bit easier, putting words to the action. And a massive thank you to the team behind the scenes. Make sure you jump on board. Make sure you come and join us. But from the whole team at MyWhoosh, from Emma Martin and from me, Matt Payne, enjoy your riding. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.